guys, and welcome back to my channel. So before I get into the main video, I just have two things I really briefly want to touch on, but I promise this isn't going to be some 5-minute intro that we see in other YouTube videos that we all secretly skip. I just want to touch on these two things very briefly, then we will get into the main video. So first things first, I want to say a huge thank you. I recently hit 100 subscribers and that is just awesome to me. Like, thank you so much. I mean, I don't sit in front of the computer twice a week, sometimes once a week, just to talk at a screen. That would be completely pointless. I do it because you guys commenting back, giving me your own opinions, creating a discussion. It's just amazing. Like, thank you so much. It's just, it blows my mind. I mean, I was so sick of just talking at people about Game of Thrones. I mean, my boyfriend, my friends, my family were just like, oh my god, we don't want to hear your crazy theories. So I talk to you guys, and I think that is so cool that you guys are talking back and that we're just creating this narrative. It's awesome to me, so thank you so much. And yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so second thing, I just wanted to make you all aware that I have changed my username. I used to be Victoria's GOT, now I'm HouseVictoria. This is because when you reach 100 subscribers, you can customize your URL to make it a little bit easier to kind of find and link to. And I decided to change my username to make it a little bit more relevant to the topic I talk about. So HouseVictoria was a little bit of a play on the Game of Thrones houses. I changed my kind of page a little bit, but it's all still exactly the same content, exact same once a week minimum posting. So don't be worried or anything, exact same, just literally changed my username because I thought it sounded cooler. So yeah, okay, now the main video, the part that we all actually care about. So today I'm going to be talking about the idea that Dany and Jaime will eventually marry. So Daenerys Targaryen will eventually marry Jaime Lannister. Now, hold your horses. I know you're all going, sorry, what? I know. Bear with me. Okay, so I've kind of been doing a lot of research on this topic. I saw it in passing on an article about Dany coming to Westeros and who she might marry, and I kind of ran with it pretty far. Actually, there's a lot of supporting evidence that this pairing might happen. Now, can we just get out of the way first of all? I know he killed her dad. I know, I will kind of elaborate on that in a minute, but let's just see past that for a moment. I mean, all relationships have problems, right? Okay, so let's just jump right in. If you do like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, requests, comment below and I will get back to you. Okay, so first of all, let's talk a little bit about the people individually. So first of all, we know Daenerys is the head of House Targaryen. As far as she's aware, she's the last Targaryen alive. She doesn't know about Jon. Most people don't know about Jon either, so they presume she's the last person flying the Targaryen banner. Then we have Jaime. He is currently the head of House Lannister after being dismissed from the Kingsguard. Now this to me was a big kind of sign that he might get married soon. I mean, in the books, he isn't dismissed from the Kingsguard. He still goes to Riverrun and he still goes there to lift the siege, but he doesn't lose his Kingsguardship. Kingsguardship. Is that a word? I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, he doesn't lose any of that. I get that kind of the religion played into it a little bit, probably to try and get rid of him, but I don't see any need to dismiss him. Sir Aerys Oakheart was a member of the Kingsguard and he was sent to Dawn with Myrcella, even though technically the Kingsguard are there to protect the king and queen. So I think dismissing him was a big kind of thing, as now he is the head of House Lannister, the Lord of Casterly Rock, and the Warden of the West, with all of those titles technically now being his. Now let's go back a little bit and look at kind of their history. They don't really have any, but I stretched. Okay, so first of all, we have Jaime when he was younger. He was very loyal to the Targaryens whilst he was in the Kingsguard. You know, I know he stabbed, like, I'll get to that in a minute. He was very loyal to them. He vowed to protect them, and he did protect King Aerys for a very long time. He heard King Aerys raping his wife. He heard King Aerys burning people alive, torturing them, and yet he still protected the king. When Rhaegar went to the Trident to fight Robert Baratheon, Jaime begged him to take him with him. He wanted to fight alongside Rhaegar on the Trident. He did kind of see him as someone worth protecting. You know, so Jaime, it wasn't like Jaime was all hate Targaryens, you know. He did protect them, he protected the king, he protected the prince, and his biggest regret he has spoken of in the books was the fact he couldn't save Elia Martell and her 2 children. He said he was wrecked with guilt at the fact he couldn't defend them, as he should have. However, as I know, he did kill King Aerys. Now, that's a pretty big red flag. Jaime may have killed King Aerys, but he killed him for a very good reason. He killed him because he was about to burn down King's Landing. He saved 500,000 people, as he said to Qyburn. So it wasn't like he did it out of spite. He did it because King Aerys was demanding Tywin's head and was preparing to set the city on fire rather than hand it over to the Baratheons. So I think that Jaime kind of killing the Mad King was the best thing he could have done in that situation. And I do think that Dany now knows that. Tyrion has been counselling her. at the siege of Meereen, he said to her, look, your dad kind of tried to burn everyone alive, and that is why Jaime killed him. So I think the show has been going out of its way to kind of redeem Jaime in Dany's eyes. Tyrion has been saying to her, look, I trust Jaime more than anyone on earth. Jaime wasn't at fault for your father dying. I mean, yeah, he killed him, technically, but at the end of the day, he did it because he had to, because otherwise he and all of the people of King's Landing would have been roasted like barbecue, like Cersei did to Marjorie, that bitch. I felt very emotional when Marjorie died. She was like one of my favourite characters. But I kind of knew it was coming. She's not even a POV character in the books. Anyway, back on topic. Yeah, so I think that kind of in Dany's eyes, I would say Jaime is pretty redeemed. You know, she has Tyrion as a counsellor, and he has been kind of smashing all of these views she had. Bear in mind, she was brought up by Viserys, who kind of saw everyone as an enemy. And kind of Tyrion has been showing her, look, what Viserys told you was wrong. Your dad was crazy. And she has now acknowledged that he was a very evil man. So I think this whole idea that Dany is going to meet Jaime and go, flay him, burn him alive, I don't see that happening. I think that he has really redeemed himself in her eyes, and Tyrion has been a huge part of making that happen. And I think that's very deliberate in the show. I don't think they'd include Tyrion sticking up for Jaime in front of Dany if it wasn't important. But I think that there's many other reasons she may end up marrying Jaime. I think other than Tyrion redeeming Jaime in her eyes, she needs him for power. So bear in mind, Dany now has the Iron Islands, Dorne, and the Tyrells, the Reach, backing her. However, she still has a long way to go. If we go through the kingdoms one by one, we can kind of see where she might try and ally herself. So first of all, there's the Stormlands. Now, the Stormlands are ripe for the taking. They don't have a leader at the moment. The Baratheon line is extinct. I don't think she's going to need to marry, like, Sir John of the, I don't know, who has like 20 men in his army to secure the Stormlands. I think she could easily go in there and take it. Now there's the North. As we know, Jon Snow rules the North, and he's not going to give it up anytime soon. I know there's the big idea that Jon and Dany will marry to unite the kingdoms, but I don't think Jon wants to unite the kingdoms, and he's under a lot of pressure not to unite them. He wants northern sovereignty. I don't think he's going to give that up through marriage to Dany, especially when he finds out he's a Targaryen. Like, she's his aunt. It's kind of creepy. Okay, and then we have the Vale. As we know, Littlefinger is currently kind of in charge of the Vale, would you have it. There is no way Dany is going to marry Littlefinger. With Varys and Tyrion counselling her, there is absolutely no chance. And technically, Littlefinger isn't even in charge of the Vale. It's Robin. And Dany's not going to marry Robin because he's like half her height and he's like a kid. So no, I don't think she's going to try and ally with the Vale that way. She'll probably just try and like storm them. I know the Vale is said to be impregnable, but she has 3 fucking dragons. She can just fly up there. So yeah, that leaves a very few places that she kind of needs to ally with and rule. I mean, there's the Riverlands, which were under Frey control. The Freys are now all dead, thanks to Arya going full Kill Bill. So I think that now the Lannisters will probably control that territory, I would guess. After hearing about the Freys, I mean, I know they have more important things with Cersei going crazy, but I think that they will probably control that territory. Okay, so that leaves one place. That leaves the Westerlands. Now, the Westerlands is the richest territory in the kingdoms. I'm well aware that Casterly Rock is kind of broke. I mean, their mines have run dry. But there are plenty of other gold and silver mines across the Westerlands that still make a very hefty income. There are gold mines under Castamere, Nuns Deep, Pendrix Hills, and the Golden Tooth. And the Lannisters are always going to be a rich family. They have fealty from all of these very rich houses paying them taxes. They're always going to be loaded. I mean, if worse came to worse, they could start selling off bits of Casterly Rock. It's fucking huge and there's gold everywhere. So the Lannisters are always going to be loaded. And I think that's very important to Dany. What do you need to rule a kingdom? You need money. That is how you feed people. That is how you rebuild structures. That is how you finance. She's going to need money, and Jaime brings that with him. He also brings the fact that he holds a very admirable title. He is Lord of the Westerlands, Lord of Casterly Rock, Warden of the West. That's a very kind of big resume, if you would, to bring to Dany. So I think her securing the Westlands through him, she would also secure the Lannister army. Bear in mind, they're not going to bend to Tyrion. Tyrion's never been in charge of the Westerlands. He's never been important enough to be in charge of the Westerlands, whereas Jaime has been groomed to be heir by Tywin. Even when he was in the Kingsguard, Tywin's only wish was for Jaime to be his heir. So I think that Jaime can also bring to Dany the Lannister armies. That's like 60,000 men. If she wants to take the North, the Vale, maybe the Riverlands if it falls under someone else's control, she's going to need more men. And I think that the Lannister army would be a great thing for her to have. So what I'm saying is Jaime brings a lot of things. He brings the title he has, he brings the army, he brings the riches, and I think that Dany wouldn't mind allying herself with the Lannisters now. I mean, they're a very powerful family, there's no getting away from that, and I think that Tyrion will counsel her against hurting Jaime, and thus she's going to have to find another way to keep the Lannisters close through Jaime. What better way than marriage? Okay, so that's kind of my justification for her marrying Jaime in terms of ruling the kingdoms. But now there is another justification as well. Bear in mind, Dany wants to be queen. She doesn't want to be queen to a king who will sit on the throne and she does as she's told. She wants to be in charge. And bear in mind, there are a lot of lords she would marry who would take the kingship for themselves. Bear in mind, a male heir or a man in charge has always been the preferred thing. It kind of goes to a woman at the end of the line when there are no men left. So I think that Dany is really going to struggle to find someone else who is just going to stand by and be king while she rules, whereas Jaime is perfect for that, and that has been shown through the books and the show many times. He refused to be Robert's hand of the king when Cersei suggested it. Cersei again suggested that he be Tommen's hand of the king, and he told her, "Don't ask me to rule." Tyrion spoke about him saying, "Jaime thirsts for battle, not for power. He's run from every chance he's had to rule. He's never wanted to rule. He didn't want Casterly Rock. He didn't want to rule the Lannisters. He didn't want to be hand of the king. And I highly doubt he'd want to be in charge being king. He doesn't want to lead people. He just wants to kind of do his thing, I guess, since he can't fight anymore." But I think that'd be perfect for Dany, marrying Jaime whilst he's not going to be in charge. He's not going to try and take the kingship from her. Jaime is the kind of person who would probably happily stand aside as Dany rules. So I think that's really important to Dany, and I think Jaime is the perfect person for that. And Tyrion can tell her that when he's counselling her on who to marry, which I'm sure he will as he's her closest advisor. He will be able to tell her, look, Jaime is not going to try and take the Iron Throne from you when he marries you. He's happy to chill, sit back, and let you do your thing. Now, those are kind of the reasons I think they might marry and kind of what I've come to, but there's also some kind of foreshadowing. As we know, George R. R. Martin loves foreshadowing. So I think that him foreshadowing these certain things is really important to the idea that Jaime and Dany will marry. So first of all, Jaime, after Robert's rebellion, sat on the Iron Throne. He went up and sat on the chair. He called it uncomfortable, which again speaks to the idea that he doesn't want to sit on it. However, he was in the position sitting on the Iron Throne that you would presume a king to be in. So Jaime may become king, but again, because he said it was uncomfortable, might not want to be the king in charge, instead handing it over to a queen. Then as well, when Jaime went to Winterfell and met the Starks, after Jon Snow walked past him, he noted that that is what a king should look like, as Jaime does. So I think that those kind of little hints at kind of Jaime being likened to a king are really important for the fact he might be king in the future, and that it may lead to him being in charge, but in a very kind of backseat way. As I said, I think Dany will be the queen, she'll be the one sat on the Iron Throne, but Jaime might be the king by her side. And bear in mind, Jaime does bring something else to the table. He is smart. Yes, he's not as smart as Tyrion. Yes, he's not as shrewd as Tyrion or Varys. But he isn't stupid. He knows what he's doing. He's very good in terms of tactics with the army, and Dany could use that. At the moment, she has Tyrion, who can completely counsel her on things in terms of Westeros. She has Varys, who can easily instruct her about spies and kind of what houses to go for. Whereas she has no military commander. Yes, she has Grey Worm, but he's never been to Westeros. He doesn't know the families. He doesn't know the political climate. He doesn't know kind of the land, how to send an army out. Whereas Jaime knows tactics. He knows which houses have the biggest armies. He knows which kind of geographical areas are the easiest to take. So I think Dany marrying Jaime would be really beneficial for her in terms of war as well. You know, if she goes to war with the North in terms of trying to retake the North for herself, Jaime would be an indispensable ally in terms of being able to tell her what her army can and cannot do in those conditions. Also as well, we have to think of the prophecy. Now this is another tangent. I feel like I've got like this idea up here and then just like a jillion things that support this. Trust me, I did my homework on this topic. It took fucking forever. As we know, the Maggie the Frog prophecy is the idea that the Valonqar will kill Cersei. Now, when this first came out, everyone was like, well, it's going to be Tyrion. They've hated each other their entire lives. Tyrion is going to reap revenge on her. However, a lot of people have now been thinking it might be Jaime. This is becoming more and more obvious as the seasons go by. I mean, Jaime and Cersei have always been extremely close, and yet Jaime's become a little bit disillusioned with that recently. I mean, in the books, Jaime has completely sworn off Cersei. She writes to him to ask him to be her champion in the trial by combat for the faith, and he burns the letter. He's completely done with her, and I think that in the show they're leaning towards that as well. A lot of people questioned why Jaime's character arc was changed. Why has he been redeemed and then turned into a knobhead again? I think they've done that on purpose for dramatic effect, that Jaime will eventually kill Cersei. Now, a lot of people have theorised this, and this isn't my own original theory, but I completely agree with it. The idea that Cersei will eventually go full crazy and try and burn down King's Landing when Dany is at the gates, and Jaime will stop her in a repeat of what happened with the Mad King. So Cersei will try and burn everyone down, and he will have to take things into his own hands again and kill her. I mean, look at his face when Cersei was crowned. Shit's going down. So I think that, you know, Jaime is very much in a position to kind of have to do that to Cersei. If she goes crazy and burns down the kingdom or tries to burn down King's Landing, Jaime is going to have to stop her, and I think that will be the ultimate redemption in Daenerys' eyes. I think that as he kills her, chokes the life out of her, as the prophecy says, Daenerys will realise that he's actually on her side. He's just trying to do the right thing and he's trying to be honourable, and I think that will be the ultimate redemption in Dany's eyes, and we're definitely getting a high five from Tyrion. Okay, so that's kind of all the opinions I have in terms of this topic today. I know that it's a little bit out there, but hopefully I've given you enough reasons to consider it at least. Comment below what you think, if you think I'm completely out of my mind or whether you're actually kind of agreeing with it. I'd love to know. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you like and subscribe if you're already a subscriber. Again, huge thank you for helping me reach 100, and I will be back probably in a few days, if not next week, with something new. So yeah, I'll speak to you soon, guys. Bye!